Hello, so I'll be live streaming for a bit, hopefully about an hour or so. But again, with most of these live streams, if they're an interesting chat, I don't mind going on a bit longer. So, been at work all day, and interestingly, as I said in the title of this live stream, the clocks have gone back. So, if you're wondering, is he an hour on later or whatever? No, it's 8 PM as usual, but 8 PM Greenwich Mean Time, not British Summertime, which is definitely something I prefer because means you get an extra hour in bed and it's darker in the evenings, which means if I want to mess about with night vision, it's better. I'd assume it would be talc. I wouldn't use the filter that for obvious reasons, but I assume the mask would just be talc. Mine didn't have any in, weirdly, but it's not really any more Zeppelin because nearly everything auto-configures now. My phone did it without me having to do anything. That clock up there still hasn't gone back. It normally does within a day or so. Right, Richard? So what I was actually doing before the stream, and I got a bit distracted, I was using this night vision and using it for stargazing, because this has been one of the first nights since I bought a load of night visions that the stars have actually been out, in the sense that it's not cloudy and wet. I have no idea who that is, Rasmus. Alright, that's cool, Frank. Yeah, I'm alright, thank you. Yeah, don't use a filter with it, though, for obvious reasons, but yeah, hopefully it turns up in time for Halloween. You've got 4 days or so, haven't you? What are you on about, Jacob? If it's like the Tintin books, whatever, I've never read any of them, or the graphic novels, or whatever they were, or seen the cartoons. Alright, Potato Farmer. Alright, cool, the 4A1, Connor. Yeah, so don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because at the moment it says to me up there, 19 people on, 3 likes, which means YouTube probably won't share it very well. The video I put on earlier, though, they obviously did send the notification out for, because loads of people have watched that already. Let me have a look how many have watched it. It's the one with the escape hood, and so far it's had 522 views, which makes it my top 1 of 10 most recent videos. Which do you mean by the Soviet pocket watch? Because I know obviously there's a lot of different Rakatas, Vostoks, you know, different brands of Soviet watches. Is it a particular model? I don't have a problem with Israel, Rasmus, but that's a very strange question to ask. Right, Bradley? Weirdly, there's an Israeli gas mask behind me, the M15. Let's just get it stored there. Yeah, the weird thing is I like Avon masks, but I definitely don't like that escape hood. Alright, normally it's rainy here, Mason, but because weirdly in the summer our weather's apparently quite a lot like Florida, you know, very humid but still rainy and damp. But then when it gets to the winter, it's still rainy, but it's obviously not humid and hot anymore, it's just cold. So, was you, Potato Farmer, wasn't it, earlier, asked me, have I bought from B-Store before? Yeah, I have, because if you didn't know, he sent me a load of stuff before for free, you know, like to do reviews on. But I'd bought from him for years before that anyway, and I think at the moment he said he's going to be sending me some more stuff. So when that arrives, I'll be doing a video on whatever he sends me in that lot of stuff. Yeah, I've heard from people in Florida it's properly humid, like so much that even like air conditioners break regularly and things like that over there just because they can't cope with it. All right, person whose name I have no idea how to pronounce. That's interesting. Reproduction or an original? I wouldn't buy an original just because I couldn't look after it properly, but if there were ever reproductions for a reasonable price, I'd buy them, but not when they're like £150 for a reproduction mask that doesn't function. Yeah. That's good then, but yeah, make sure you store it properly, because obviously the danger of buying a World War I mask is you buy a rare military antique, you just put it on the surface somewhere, and then the sunlight, you know, and air humidity and everything deteriorates the masks. Right, Bartos? I've never used one in years, Iron Man. I can imagine they trap heat well for camping, but I imagine they're not very good if they get damp. Generally, I've always had like polyester sleeping bag type things for camping. You know, like the ones that are probably a mix of polyester and other stuff in sort of a padded sort of shell. Yeah, what you need to do, Justin, I can show you with another mask I've been doing this with. Fill it with newspaper or something similar. That way the mask starts expanding out to its original shape. Because obviously with a lot of masks, if you don't have anything inside them, they just kind of crumple in on themselves. But if you fill it with paper, my ulcerative colitis has been fine recently, thanks Rasmus, because, yeah, I'm on different sort of medication for it now and it's back under control. I have no idea. Personally, like I've said, I've not got much interest in buying, like, Nazi memorabilia. But assuming it's a genuine SS hat, I imagine it'd be worth quite a lot. Yeah, as I said, Iron Man, the Aveeno stuff works well on it, and the other thing is just, you know, obviously giving it time to grow, I think, because, yeah, I've already had people going, shave that bum fluff off, you look stupid. But, again, it's not going to grow in a day, is it? You're not going to go from having nothing to a really thick moustache. I've got an S10, which Britain used in Desert Storm, or the Gulf War, whichever you want to call it. I've got an M40, which was the mask America used. Well, technically, they used the M17A2, didn't they? And I have an M17A2. That was around the time the XM40, M40 was kind of coming in to service. But I've got the French M51, which they were still using at that point. So, you know, Britain and America had fairly modern masks. France was still using a mask designed in the 1950s, which was kind of a recycle of a World War II design. Yeah, that's the thing, Iron Man, because, yeah, I know what you mean, because I know people who, you know, never shave, essentially, and they always have, like, fluff there. What do you call it? Peach fuzz, isn't it? That the other name for it? And that definitely looks like, yeah, the kind of hair you get on kiwi fruit or whatever. But, yeah, so I'm not going to shave it off now, because I definitely know it's going to grow out at this stage, so I'm just going to let it grow. But annoyingly, I can never grow a good beard, even if I wanted to. I can grow, like, stubble and sort of longer hair there, and bits of my chin, but other bits of it won't grow out. So I'd probably grow what looks like a goatee there with a neck beard, but, you know, like the sides will never grow out. Yeah, that'll be interesting, Chris, because, yeah, as said, it does say in the thing I've got for it, use with training. You know, be trained to use it. As said, it would work. The thing is, I've got no doubt that if you needed to use this, it would work. As I said, as long as the oral nasal cut bit's open, which it is there. How to make a gas mask at home? Well, you could literally do it with a plastic bag. Right, so I never like getting the first bit on, but so as long as that oral nasal cup is open there, it works fine. Because, yeah, the air's coming in and out of the valves as it should. I'm sure an Israeli M15 would be fine if you wash it in water. But, yeah, obviously, I think it is a good point. Like, because I said, I think at least if you sort of know a bit about respirators, you can understand if something's going wrong when you're wearing it. And as you can see there, the nasal cup is out properly. But, yeah, the problem is, I think, yeah, if somebody wasn't trained and they just put it on, that's when you'd run into trouble. But, like you said, officially, people have to be trained. And I think that's where people say something's a bad mask, because they don't understand the context in what it's meant to be used. Because it's like where people say, like, oh, GP5s are crap, why didn't they put all these features on? Because they were designed to be mass-produced masks, you know, for the purpose of being able to give people masks, not for the, you know, purpose of being very high-quality masks. Ah, that's good, Mason. I've got an M2M, but unfortunately the M, meaning it's a small size, doesn't fit me very well. Yeah, I'd probably get that insured if you've got something like that, not a list. Because yeah, if it's worth that much, it's probably worth stealing, isn't it? In a sense, mostly eBay, Felice or Felice, if I'm saying your name right. As I was saying earlier, what I'm going to probably do a video on maybe tomorrow, and I'll probably do it as like an instant video, but it could be potentially when I schedule, depending on how much content I put in it, is one where I want to try and link to all the different eBay stores I've bought from like quite a few times and had good like service from. Because obviously, like I was saying earlier, I've bought from B Store quite a few times and he sent me stuff for free before. So always, you know, like mention him on there. But there's also, I think S Frankish is another one. I think Surplus and Lost. So what I want to do is go through, you know, ones I've bought from before and never had any problems with, and then list them just for people who want to see a load of different places on eBay directly. The problem is, Chris, though, for me, is the GSR was like the opposite way around for me with like that sort of thing. When I first got the GSR, I was like, wow, look how much cooler and more functional this looks like than the S10, you know. But then the more I started messing about with the GSR, the more I started realizing that this feature's poorly done, you know. This bit doesn't seem so reliable. Again, your opinions can change on things like that, can't you? Or can't they even? Not can't you? I didn't nearly suffocate just then, Iron Man. I did in the video because the oral nasal cup didn't open. In theory, I wonder if I could try this. Not that it's a good idea. If in a mask like this, if the oral nasal cup won't work on this one, will it? Because it's actually pulled open like that. I was just wondering on another mask, if the oral nasal cup was kind of stuck down on there, would it start doing a similar thing? The thing is, if you're selling it, you definitely want to sell it insured, not a list, because you've got the issue, obviously, of somebody in the postal service or courier stealing it, and then you literally being screwed. That's annoying, Mason, but yeah. While you're asking about, whoever is asking about Army Navy stores or whatever, if whatever's in them at a good price for what it is, then they're fine. But, you know, it's like, sadly, where I am, there aren't any surplus stores anymore. They've all had to close just simply because everywhere, you know, is now selling stuff online for cheaper prices. They can set up like temporary kind of shower block things, survive. Like, you know, like kind of decontamination tent things that have showers in, but they can literally just do it with a hose. Yeah, the thing is, I think the GSR is one of those masks that could have been really good if a couple of the bits in it were a bit better. But yeah, it's like saying that moisture filter or whatever it's meant to be, or like a sweating kind of filter. That could be set up a lot better if you were going to do something like that, because I just find that uncomfortable. But yeah. All right, Mike. At some point, maybe I'll actually try and get a replica decent Stowhelm, because I've got a real Stowhelm, but it's rusty, and like the price of getting a Stowhelm that's in okay condition, you know, that's not rusted through and everything is stupid. But I do like the designs of Stowhelms. Well, I suppose I've got that Swiss Stowhelm, haven't I? Anyway, so it's a similar thing, just bulkier, and the M56. I assume it's another account, Potato Farmer, but it might be to do with like how many things you can list on one account with eBay or whatever. But just check what the like return address is if they're the same address as the same accounts. But I do know with some people on eBay, what they do is they make multiple accounts for different stuff if they're selling it. So if you know, because if you were just generally just selling junk you wanted to get rid of on eBay, what you can do is what was I going to say? Like, you know, if you're just selling junk, you'd probably just use one account because you just list everything on your own account. Whereas I think if you're more like a business seller, you sometimes will end up making more accounts, you know, like how some people would make secondary YouTube channels if they wanted to make specialized things on a different thing. Well, SSH40 is a lot cheaper for mass production, so it is better in that regard. I like the style helms aesthetically, yeah, I think they're some of the coolest looking helmets ever. But what I was on about in another stream, which was really interesting, was, well, I find it interesting anyway, some people might find it really boring, is that, like, the types of metals used in, like, the old steel pot helmets, apparently, you know, not all are created equal. Apparently some are really different in terms of, like, metal qualities. So, for example, these Swiss style helms are apparently far better than the German ones in terms of it's a much higher quality steel content. So, you know, it's much more resistant steel. Whereas some nations, you know, used steel that's barely considered steel, you know, in terms of like construction quality. It's strange, Chris, isn't it? Because it's a feature you don't need, so why try and do it? Whether or not it was just to win points, as in this has a feature that the other mask doesn't have, even if it's a poorly implemented feature, I don't know. The other thing I think should be made smaller on the GSR is, you know, there's that big bit at the front that goes like that, if that makes sense. It's like that plastic cover that's over the voice diaphragm and exhale valve. I think that's the stuff under it. That cover seems far too bulky to me. I know it doesn't weigh much, but it still adds more bulk to the face where you really don't need it. It could literally just be, you know, like a flat panel like that, really. No, it's a FAL, but a battle rifle, so similar to a G3, but the FAL came first. There's a prototype Mason that I've seen pictures of that had a 40mm or 60mm thread on. I can't remember which type it was, but sadly there was never anything mass produced. There's also the XM40, which is the prototype M40, which looks more like an M17's face piece, but it's 40mm. Yeah, because the thing is, with most masks, I thought everybody had got by now. The best place to put the exhale valve is like around the chin area, so that stuff would drain out anyway. Yeah, rather than have a breeding ground of bacteria in your mask. Hello, Peach. A bit more at Christmas Iron Man, but I don't drink a lot, full stop. Now and again, I'll have times where I actually drink more often, but I never drink stupid amounts. When I was a teenager, I could sometimes drink, you know, like an idiot, but now I don't bother too much. But yeah, at Christmas I definitely do because I've got more reason to. Because obviously you're seeing the family and everything, and I like lever actions. Sadly, I don't have any. Oh, actually, no, I do saying that because I've got a Daisy Red Rider. So I've got a Daisy Red Rider that's lever action, and I've also got that weird old Daisy noisemaker gun that's lever action. But in terms of functional firearms or deac firearms, no, I don't have any lever actions. Although an interesting thing is under a UK firearms certificate, as in FAC1, bolt actions and lever actions kind of come under the same thing. So you could have, you know, in theory, a gun in a really big, powerful caliber just in lever action. But about it, what's that mean, Peach? Forgot about it? Do I like any German World War II songs? Let's have a think. Because a lot of the German World War II ones are recycled older ones, aren't they? I like the tune to Horst Wessel or, you know, Die Franne Ho, the actual anthem of Nazi Germany, or the Nazi Party, but I obviously don't like the ideology of Nazism or Nazism. I'm trying to think, because there's other ones, aren't there? But I'm trying to think of there any, like, I mean, I'm sure Stuckerlied and Panzerlied are obviously ones from World War II. But I know a lot of things like the Konigratzer and all those are just older tunes anyway. Is that the one that goes do 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 that Westerveld? If that is, I know that one. That's actually quite a good tune, isn't it? I forgot about Westerveld, if that's the one. Ah, okay, yeah. So I do remember that one then. Okay, the thing is, like, as well with stuff music like that. As much as I don't like communism, the commie countries had really bloody good anthems, like the USSR anthem, East Germany's anthem. But yeah, if you were to say what's my favourite bit of German music, probably the East German anthem. I have to listen to that one, Chris. I don't know if I've listened to that one, but yeah, obviously Deutschland, Auf, whatever it's called, like Germany from the ruins or whatever, or Germany rises from the ruins. The East German anthem I really like. That one. What's the Bad Batch about then, Iron Man? Auf Standen aus Ruinen. Well, I guess Ruinen is ruins, or the ruin, or whatever. Yeah. Alright, Stug. Yeah, I know what the Red Army Choir is, definitely Ghost, because obviously they're very famous for doing lots of the Soviet and old Russian music. I got a couple of Red Army albums actually on my CD shelf, which is in the other room, which is sort of an obsolete technology now, isn't it? CDs, because everybody just downloads stuff. But yeah, I'd say one of my favourite Red Army Choir ones though is the Cliff or whatever it's called, which BBC used in their old Chernobyl documentary quite a lot. Just because it's a really powerful sort of bit of music. But obviously, the newer Chernobyl show is much better in terms of budget and everything, and had its own soundtrack composed for it. But I did really like the BBC one, just kind of using, you know, sort of very solemn bit of Red Army music as the guys went in to drain the water. I didn't even know they were making a film about Midway, or another film about Midway, if that's what you're on about. Just less stock available. I guess not less. Don't spam the chat, Soviet Union. I think you got a timeout from somebody last time you did it, and you'll probably just get a block this time if you keep just spamming the chat. Bad Batch is a post-apocalyptic movie. Oh, I'll definitely check that out then, because I like post-apoc movie. The Bad Batch IMDb. Let's have a look. Is it the one from 2016? I did watch a new Joker film yesterday, and that was actually bloody good. Or I thought it was, anyway. I'm just going to hide Impeach, because, as I said, he had a timeout last time, and he obviously hasn't learned his lesson, so. Have a massively wide chin area. Yeah, I'd say it does, because, yeah, if you look at the oral nasal cup there, the chin area is pretty big. But I guess if they're making a universal size mask, they might have to really make some for some people that might have really flat, flabby faces. I don't know. Yeah, Iron Man, I'll definitely try and watch that. But yeah, anybody else in a new Joker movie yet? No spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it, but I'd actually recommend it. Because the weird thing is, it was one of those films I was not interested in at all until it came out. Then I heard lots of good things about it from people I generally actually trust to watch films and tell me their honest opinions on them, not, oh, it's good because everybody likes it kind of ones. And then, yeah, I ended up going to see it and I really liked it. And, you know, it was kind of one of those ones where cinema stuck. Yeah, I kind of want to see it again, but It's because that bit, Evan, is like really tight rubber. That's how it seals your neck. This kind of because if you look at the size of this thing, if it's fully closed compared to the size of my neck, see, that's why the air can't escape, because it would have to really balloon out before it would start pushing the rubber with enough force. Yeah, you have to hope, Richard, they're not saying anything that'll get you gulagged in this country now. Do you have a favourite type brand of watch? Well, the one I wear at the moment, which I bought for work, is an Orient Mako 2. An Orient's owned by Seiko, so basically that it's, you know, like a very good high quality Japanese watch brand, but they're not ridiculous prices. And this is obviously like automatic mechanicals. If you want like a really good modern watch, you can just get a Casio or you know, like a Citizen. Any of like the Japanese electronic ones are good. But in terms of oh, that's a point. Let's have a look at my is this working? Oh, I think this one stopped working again. This is the Casio one that I had that was designed to, you know, always set itself to work, and I think it's fucked itself up again. Because this is one that I really liked. It used to be my EDC watch until it started running into problems, but I think it has decided it has no battery again. Well, what I can do actually is I'm just going to try shining a really bright torch on that to see if it wakes it up. Maybe UV light would work better. Let me try UV light, because obviously that's closer to the kind of light it's meant to get from the sun. Yeah, old ones normally used radium or tritium history sold at as the glowing source. Modern ones obviously don't, but if you want me to prove that, I can actually do that. Even though this watch isn't working, I can show you that old watches used to have radioactive stuff in, and you know, new ones don't. I can show you using that Geiger counter at the back in a second. Anyway, what I was trying to say anyway is that I do really like Vostok amphibias, because, you know, good old Soviet Vostoks, they basically backwards engineered a load of really expensive Swiss watches and figured out how to make them really cheaply. Ah, that's interesting, Chris. I didn't actually know that. The sizing's based off the neck. So it's not one size fits all, but they, you know, I was just lucky then I got one that seems to fit me all right. It might be a bit big for me, but, you know, once I know to open the oral nasal cup, it's actually all right. But yeah, so to show you about old watches, because I've only got 2 watches with radium on them, and one's only just a watch dial on its own. So let me show you something. Right, so let's flick that on. So there we go. Right, so there'll obviously always be a bit of background radiation. Now, if you're watching full screen, you can hopefully see where the needle is on there, right? Needle's there. So this one does counts per second. And as you can see, it normally goes between 0 to 1 counts per second. That's like the average. So that would be anywhere between, I guess, if it was 1 count per second, 60 CPM to 30 CPM sort of thing. So if I put that watch there, actually, let me just take the cap off that reads alpha radiation. There we go. Take that off. Right. So this is non-radium watch, right? Like a modern watch with luminescent stuff on it. See, no difference on the Geiger counter. So, yeah. See, modern watch is totally fine. Let me get my old German watch. Talking about Nazi memorabilia. And I did what a load of people said, which was store this in a bag, because apparently, you know, like this builds up little bits of radium gas over time. I don't know if it can read it through the bag. Let's have a go. Oh, it can. So that was about 20 counts per second. It's probably higher out of the bag. Let me just try it. Let's try that again. Still about 20 counts per second, maybe a bit higher. So, yeah, if you're interested in old watch dials of radium, yes, they do have radioactive materials in them. But yeah, modern watches don't, and they glow better because the modern glow-in-the-dark stuff they put on watches, as you can maybe see from this one, might not even be that obvious with the light on as well, but the one on my Orient's really good. You can see that through most of the evening, like if you go to bed. Well, I don't want to strobe that. There you go. The glow on this one is very good in the sense that, you know, if you go to bed and you've just been wearing it during the day, even by like 4 a.m, there's still enough light that you can see what the time is. A little bit was gamma Iron Man, most is alpha. And apparently the only reason people were saying, I don't know if you can still see that glowing, but if the lights are off, you would see that glowing. Supposedly people were saying, which makes sense to me, because the glass on those watches isn't like airtight over time, that's why you get the alpha readings coming off, because although the glass in theory should stop the alpha radiation, because it's no longer, you know, like an airtight seal to the case, that's why the alpha's coming out, essentially like radon gas or whatever. MiG-25s are cool. I think most old Soviet and like NATO planes are cool. And obviously because I don't fly any of them and can't really own any of them, you know, I don't have too many preferences. There are planes I think look cooler than the others, but MiG-25 and 31s are cool. Yeah, as I said, waste the loner, we were all about earlier. Yes, because otherwise I'd have shaved it off by now. It's not. I'm not going to grow it down like that, but you know, it's going to be grown to there. And obviously, when it fills out, then whether or not I kind of taper it in different ways, I don't know. But multi-tan is in the new Fleck-tan stuff. That's multi-cam. Well, I said it looks cool because it's multi-cam Fleck-tan, but if Germany's not going to sell it as surplus, this makes me jealous. But yeah, hopefully B-Store is going to send me some more radioactive things as check sources. As in, because sometimes you were saying when you get the old Geiger counters, they actually come with, you know, like check sources that he doesn't send to most people because, you know, he's worried that somebody might eat it or something stupid. Yeah, thanks, Peach. Don't forget to like the stream. But, you know, if you are sensible enough with them, you know, I don't know if I'm sensible enough, but, you know, I would really like to get some, you know, the more crazy check sources they used to put on stuff, you know, so you can go, oh, look, my Geiger counters are all going off to scale. I know the Swiss used to do that with Geiger counters, actually, put a check source in some of them so strong that they could actually irradiate the person who was using the Geiger counter if they didn't, you know, seal it back up properly. Oh, yeah, the one like on the old log cabin, Richard. Yeah, I've seen that. I thought that was a really good fucking, yeah, like, proper one like that to be in the beard, like a fully, not like a goatee where it is like a fully kind of old mountain man kind of if Firefox is that movie with Clint Eastwood and Kenneth Colley? I've not seen it, but I ought to have done, really. Yep. Thank you, Ghost Jesus. Thank you for remembering to shill my merch. There we go. You can have mugs and hoodies and t-shirts. Oh, yes. You can find them at the Teespring. Yeah, I've got some uranium. The thing is, if you're on about uranium ore, it's not very exciting. Look, I can show you. I mean, it will depend on the purity of it, because Hype's got some that's more radioactive than mine. But, yeah, here is uranium ore. It's not like uranium-231, is it, you're getting on eBay? So basically what you're getting is some bits of rock. I wonder if I can actually get... Oh, there we go. Right, I don't know how good it is that I've got uranium rock on my hands, but let's put that little bit back in there, because I don't want little shrapnel bits. I'm not going to get the guns down, I'm afraid. But yeah, so here is a bit of uranium ore in my hand, but this is unprocessed uranium, as in, you know, like the natural uranium. It's uranium-231, isn't it? Like the one that's the really kind of radioactive stuff, because it's enriched uranium. So if I turn this back on and put the uranium up to the window, as you can see, it's radioactive, but 5 to 10 counts per second. nothing compared to a radium watch. So yeah, you can buy uranium on eBay, but you know, I don't think you're making a doomsday weapon with it. If you ate it, Trap Beats, yes. With most radioactive things, if you eat them, you are fucked. The americium, you look at uranite and pitch blende rocks, it's the black which... Oh, okay, so that's interesting. So the blacker the rock, in theory, the more radioactive it is. Don't know if it's going to focus there, but like I said, I'm not going to get them any more out of there because I don't want it. I'll wash my hands before I touch my mouth again, Peach. Luckily, I can grip the cup like this to drink. Frank, have a look at what your local asbestos disposal laws are like, because in the UK, I think if you're disposing them less than a certain amount of asbestos per year, as long as you follow like a certain guideline, you can do it one way. If you're disposing of more, you don't have to pay to have it done a special way. In the UK, I'm pretty much sure you have to bag it up properly, take it to your like local tip kind of landfill yourself, and I think then you have to just put it in the right area. But I think it's when you're getting rid of more than a certain amount, that's when, you know, you have to essentially pay a company to do it. I think it must depend on the tip of trouble, man, because our local one, you can pay to have it done there. Because they've literally got a bit, you know, where they've got all the stuff, but obviously most people aren't using that bit, so... Yeah, well, it depends on the type of radiation, Iron Man, but yeah, the thyroid is one of the places you can get radiation, which is what the, iodine tablets are for, aren't they? To stop that radioactive stuff getting into your thyroid. Yeah, they're obsessed, Mike. It's either you've touched your dick, wash your hands, or you've touched the hot stuff, wash your hands. That's interesting, Trouble Man. But anyway, there is something at my one. I know there is, because people literally go there and pay and do it. So I guess they would be, Chris. Oh, would you ever consider taking the H filters off to see how they work? Do they just have a look? But yeah. But yes, as I've said, look up the laws in your area and then you're fine. Read them up on the .gov UK websites, whatever. So let's have a look. I'm assuming you'd have to attach something from the inside to unlock them, or like use a pen or something to get them off there. There's a little clip here. I wonder if that will do anything. No, that's not coming off easily, unless I'm really missing something there. It does seem to be kind of like clipped in on the inside. The straps I can get to click about a bit, but I don't know about the other bit. That's cool, Ollie. Thanks. Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's any way. I mean, I suppose if you wanted to break the thing, you could get them off, but I don't particularly want to break it. Isn't there a kind of resin dust as well that's really bad? I don't know if it is silicon or whatever dust, but I know there was some kind of different plastic, you know, resins that were used in some sort of model making, and apparently that was really dodgy if you weren't using a respirator to, like, you know, sand down bits of the models or whatever. Because it wasn't like conventional Warhammer 40k, but I think some of the Forge World models were that sort of resin. But I can't remember what kind of resin it was. It will depend what you want it for, Survive, as in, you know, how you want the pocket layouts, how heavy you want it to be. Do you want it to be upgradable with additional panels? If you mean the best in terms of physical protection, probably some of the armed police response vests, which can basically be both stab-proof and plate carriers. In terms of what's the best at just being covert all-round good vest, just the very slimline ones with the stab panel and the Kevlar. All right, see you, DJ Skull, if you're off. Anyway, I thought there was something was going on, so I was going to show the Geiger count. Oh, yeah. Speaking of stuff you don't want to get in your body, I know I've shown this one before, but I just find it really funny. So, there's a thing called americinium, or however it's pronounced, which is what they use in smoke alarms. I think in modern ones they can technically get away with not using it. And americinium is a big source of alpha radiation. Now, what happens with alpha radiation, gang, if it gets in your body? Does anybody know? I know some of you on here will know. I want to see if I want to hear what answers you say. So here is a little metal disc of americinium. It's not this side it's on, it's the other side. So that is americinium, that little bit there. If it focuses. Yeah, all right, Peach, you know, tell them what it does. I don't know if it's going to focus on that. But yeah, americinium gives off a little bit of gamma, but it's nearly all alpha. And I mean like crazy amounts of alpha, because I can demonstrate that with my alpha probe. Yep, so for the people who know, you have to post. You have to say. You won't win your prize. There isn't a prize, by the way, anyway. But yeah. Will it blend where they use the old... Could it blend Chuck Norris, though? Or was the Chuck Norris one where they like made it blow up as a joke? Yes, it definitely gives off radiation trap beats, but what my question was specifically is what does alpha radiation... Well, all radiation does that, right? I'll tell you because people aren't saying. Yeah, basically what Pete said. If you eat something that's got alpha radiation in, right, the danger is that it gets inside your body and it won't come out. So with most radiation sources, alpha, if you had a respirator on and everything, and you didn't eat it or have a cut, alpha radiation is completely harmless in a sense. It can't penetrate your skin. It's that weak. Alpha radiation can't penetrate paper. Beta is quite horrible in the sense that it causes horrible burns and fucks you up, you know, in the terms of like your skin. X-rays and gamma shoot through you, which is why you can use X-rays to do an X-ray. Now, they're the ones that you can't really hide from, but they actually do the least damage as far as I'm aware per kind of dose. But yeah, supposedly, if you eat a single one of these, which is the piece of americinium you'll get out of a smoke alarm, bear in mind how small that is, you're pretty much 100% guaranteed to get cancer in your lifetime. You know, it might not always be the same types of cancer, but even though you'll poop out this little disc of americinium, in the couple of days it takes to go through you, you know, you all of your organs will be horribly contaminated all the way down. Right, so let me demonstrate why. So what I'm going to do is to show you the level of alpha radiation. First, I will hold this to the Geiger counter this way, where only the gamma radiation will go through the plate. Then I will flip it over. So, with gamma radiation, it's less hot than that uranium rock, right? Now let's flip it over. Oh, shit. Right, off the scale. Luckily, I can see where that's gone. I always drop this for some reason. Yeah, there it is. Right, so what we have learned from that, well, we already knew this, but it's interesting, is that certain things can give off one type of radiation in massive numbers and not another type, which is why americinium is a great check source for Geiger counters for alpha radiation. Because well, this Geiger goes up to 2,000 counts per second. That's where it maxes out. It maxes out at over 2,000 counts per second. So if you wanted that in counts per minute, that's times 60. So 2 times 60, 120. So yeah, 2,000 times 60, 120,000. So over 120,000 counts a minute if you wanted to do it that way. It wouldn't give you cancer instantly, trap beats, but the day or two it takes from after eating that for it to pass out your system, yeah, you're getting cancer. I mean, you wouldn't end up getting it, as said, like within the first 2 days, but supposedly, you know, most people within a year at that point are pretty doomed. As I said, Dill, I'm not getting an SGC, so when am I getting something I'm not going to get? Never. There you go. Yeah, I've heard of uranium fever and a lot of those other sort of old Conrad ones. I quite like them. Where should I put it away then? Not a list. Where should I put it away? Well, that's what the Russians did, didn't they, to Alexander Litvinenko? But they did it with polonium, wasn't it? Because polonium's even nastier. Put it a little bit in a tea, didn't they? So essentially, they spiked his drink with a bit of polonium. And yeah, he died horribly from like bits of his body failing. I don't know if he had acute radiation syndrome or if he died of just, like horrible health complications due to having polonium in him. But what's the Russian Spetsnaz gas mask then? Because it's probably just a variant of PMK, is it? But yeah, like I said, Richard, some of that stuff's really horrible, isn't it? There's been all the things recently of a load of different pesticides where, like, companies that have made them are finally getting sued for, saying, oh no, it's totally safe, and they weren't. Yeah, the thing is, like, with radioactive items, which I've probably said before, is when people are like, why do you have this in your room? It's really scary. I'll show you something. To prove it's not all that scary. Right, so here's a load of radioactive items in a uranium glass bowl. Turn the Geiger counter on, and we'll hold this here. We're getting maybe 1 count per second with it that close to the Geiger. 2 maybe. But bear in mind that wand isn't all that far away. Yeah, there we go. So the point is, unless you are, having it that close to you all the time, doesn't really matter. Because, again, it's not, it's how radiation works. It doesn't work like that. Sadly, things like the PMKS are generally very expensive to try and get shipped to the UK. No, microwavable food is not radioactive. Again, it depends how you mean radioactive, because generally when people say radioactive, they mean ionizing radiation, as in alpha, beta, gamma, and X-rays. And there's photons as well, aren't they? Are they technically ionizing radiation? But the point is that, things like electromagnetic fields and radio waves aren't really radiation in the same sense that people think of them. Maybe it was neutrons I was thinking of then, a troubled man, rather than protons, as in a neutron bomb, I guess. What do you mean? Will it smell of rubber? Wow, it's a rubber gas mask. It's always going to smell like the rubber smell it comes with. I don't think it would make you smell of rubber. But most of my masks, I don't really even notice the rubber smell from them. What do you mean, origami Lego? Sorry, I don't really get your question. The higher the count on the Geiger counter, the more radioactive something is. Again, it depends if you're looking at an alpha, beta, or gamma source, because in theory, although all Geiger counters can use counts per second or whatever, or counts per minute, it's different measurements, because like Rontgens is normally used in gamma radiation, or like sieverts is normally used in gamma radiation, whereas, like, is it baracules or something like that? Because they have different measurements, because there's like a guide to how to calculate the measurements on the side of that one. If it's an alpha source, you times it by this or whatever. I really don't know. I don't know tutorials, I'm afraid, because I don't collect anything like that. Chris might be able to tell you what those sort of things are worth. Oh, and just funny enough, just as I said that, he said, what model is it? So there you go. He might be able to sort you out. Yeah, Interestingly, because I didn't know this till a while ago, Trouble Man, the heat from the sun doesn't actually come from the UV, it comes from the infrared. Whereas, yeah, the cancer causing stuff, I know obviously UV can cause cancer, but yeah, the more you're exposed to that, again, the more the risk. You can get, interesting enough, to use the UV bulbs, can't you, for ceilings, which are apparently a really bad idea to stay in a room if you ever put one in. Apparently they're used for like fumigating rooms or something, but with a bulb. But that kind of seems funny. I mean, not ha-ha funny, but, you know, like, oh, I could put a light bulb in my ceiling and it would give me cancer. It might be possible. I've not actually really tried it. With most masks, if you play about with them enough, you can take a lot of the components off. But, you know, how replaceable certain bits are, I don't know, because it also depends on, can you find spares and repairs? Because if you can, not find a spare part and you wanted to replace a broken part, you might as well just still buy a brand new mask. Yep, radioactive Boy Scout gets brought up on every stream, not a list, when we talk about radiation. How many smoke alarms did he harvest then to get all his americinium for his breeder reactor or whatever it was he built? But yeah, he horribly irradiated himself and his surrounding area by trying to make a reactor at home. Because it was pre-9/11, where you could just literally write into companies, pretend you were a scientist or whatever, and say, can I buy all this nuclear material, please? Thankfully, after 9/11, they realized, well, it's not a good idea just to let random people buy radioactive shit of, whatever they wanted to do. Oh, it's very interesting, Trouble. I mean, it's horrible, isn't it? But yeah. But yeah, that was interesting enough. I was reading about night vision recently because, some people go, this night vision can give you cancer, it can't. So I was looking into it and I thought, oh, maybe it could due to, like X-rays coming out of the photocathode, and then Hype explained why they couldn't, because how the voltages works on them and all that. But then apparently some types of IR lights, as in the IR light with night vision, as in one of these, not saying this particular model, but as in the IR illuminator for certain night visions, it's in a certain wattage range and frequency range for infrared that causes eye damage. So yeah, Ghost, what I am not on about stuff like uranium ore, because I've been showing that in a video. I wouldn't have that if it was illegal. What I'm on about is buying shit like uranium-231 and that sort of stuff, like literally buying stuff they put in nuclear bombs and nuclear reactors. Because at one point in America, apparently, you could literally just write, without proving it, to companies and say, I am a science teacher, I work for a nuclear power plant, etc. Can I please buy loads of uranium? Yeah, it's like lots of those anti-terrorist laws, Ghost Jesus, ruin a lot of things, don't they? And mass surveillance and all that. But yeah, I think as much as I'm sort of pro Second Amendment, I really don't think you should be letting people buy uranium-231 types of plutonium in whatever numbers they want, considering, how easy it would be in theory to build a dirty bomb or even quite a primitive atomic bomb. If somebody in theory bought enough uranium, they could very easily make a little boy style uranium gun weapon, because all that literally is shooting one chunk of uranium into another. Goes supercritical. I don't really know, not a list, because it's a what-if scenario. We had an entire stream about that. The communist bloc would still probably have collapsed later on. Yeah, exactly, Richard, because I assume it's the same kind of archive thing, isn't it, from the UV and the IR. But yeah, I mean, maybe some people just have a really delayed reaction and then, oh shit, I'm blind or my eyes are severely damaged. You'd think as soon as it starts hurting, you'd go, this is a bad idea, I'm going to stop now. But yeah. With my smoke alarm that was broken in my room, that bit of americinium I was showing, how I took that out was mostly just breaking it apart with pliers, because the americinium's in the ionization chamber, so you can't get it. But again, there's a little bit just stuck to that Geiger counter on the side as well, because it's literally the bit from the smoke alarm as well. It looks identical, where they've just, you know, glued it on the side for, here's your check source. Yeah, I'd say a troubled man, probably best not to go into a lot of things people could do with stuff like that. But yeah, that's the thing is, I think people are always going to be able to do bad things if they want to do bad things. But yeah, it's just the potential damage somebody could do buying, you know, like the really radioactive shit that's, you know, used in bombs and nuclear power is a bit different than somebody buying americium from smoke alarms. PMK or FM? Which, when you say FM, do you mean like the FM12? If you mean PMK like 1 or 2 versus FM12, definitely the FM12. Anarcho-capitalism, the movie. Okay, I'll have to look this up. Is this like using muck nukes on your neighbors because they violated the NAP? Yep. The thing is, though, it's like, and again, this is something you probably ought to be quite careful about talking about on here. It does surprise me sometimes that lots of terrorists try really stupid, over-the-top plots which get them caught, you know, when literally running people over and, you know, shit like that works more effectively. Not that we want to give people like that who are losers any ideas, but, you know, it's kind of one of those funny things where, you know, if they came up with a more simple plans or looked up stuff, you know, rather than trying to build a super secret nuclear bomb, you know, they tried to make basic chemical biological weapons, they'd probably be a lot more successful. Well, there was what's it video on it recently, wasn't there? A Count Dankula one, where they put loads of propane and all that in the thing. I kicked burning terrorists in the balls so hard I tore a tendon in my foot. Yeah, I can still remember that headline. Burger Queen? Do you mean Burger King? Or is Burger Queen a thing as well? Well, the interesting thing at one point, Ghost Jesus, is where Pepsi had a really big navy because they bought loads of ships from the USSR. You know, that kind of sounds like some ANCAP bullshit, but that actually happened as well. Yeah, we are getting a little political, but we're 57 minutes in, Rich, so we might just be able to go 2.5 more minutes with only a bit of politics in it, and then I can finish the stream. I'd say M16. Yep, this is a thing of trouble, man. Let me see if I can find the thing about it. Pepsi, Navy, Soviet Union. Let's have a look. How Pepsi briefly became the 6th largest military in the world. Here's a Business Insider article on it. I don't know how good this one is, but... okay, but autocorrect fucked it. Hang on, let me... Oh, that was the right you're on. Okay, there you go. Well, I thought his last video was Al Capone, Peach. The one on Al Capone's alright. But yeah. Let me see if I can just get a good quote from the article. So the Russians did what any country would do in desperate times. They traded Pepsi a fleet of subs and boats for a whole lot of soda. The new agreement included 17 submarines, a cruiser, a frigate, and a destroyer. The combined fleet was traded for $3 billion worth of Pepsi. But yeah, it's, you know, just weird clown world things that actually happened. So, you know, I always think of that when I think of ANCAP stuff. When you literally get the communists to give you a load of military hardware for Pepsi. I didn't know that knowledge, so that's quite funny. Shame they couldn't get a load of nuclear weapons for it. I wonder if they could have bargained that, saying, rather than give us all these ships, can we have a few nuclear warheads, please? What, plugging my merch by saying about Pepsi? This isn't Pepsi themed. Hello, Pix again, if that's how your name's pronounced. I definitely prefer Avon, but MSA makes some alright stuff. MSA, the thing I really like from MSA is some of their like older, kind of more industrial looking masks, to be honest, because MSA did a lot of the US military masks under contract. But some of MSA's like unique proprietary masks are quite cool. Scott or Avon? Avon, obviously. I'm an Avon fanboy. Why did you think it was my merch? Business Insider. Sadly, I don't think Business Insider's done a page on my merch, and that might sell more. Are you from Chile then? Picks again? If you want to read about other horrible, like, historical stuff like that, which is kind of funny in the right context, but, you know, it's kind of the fucked up kind of funny, the Opium War is actually quite interesting like that. Because, yeah, the Opium War was literally Britain wanting to buy a load of tea from China. China would only accept silver for the tea. Britain was spending too much in silver on the tea and getting, you know, like, spending too much, basically. So some Scottish businessmen decided it would be a good idea to start illegally smuggling opium into China. The opium started selling really well, so China banned the opium because of, you know, obviously the fact that they are literally selling opium to people and getting them hooked. When China decided we're kicking you out and you can't sell this opium here anymore, it's fucking war then. And then that's how Hong Kong and everything was seized, you know, completely militarily humiliate the Chinese at the time, and you will pay us reparations for not buying these drugs from us. So yeah, if like I say, it's not funny as in, you know, horrible stuff like that happening in history is funny, but it's funny in a kind of that's a fucked up sense of funny. Can I just get like a van? I don't know tutorials and throw a load into a van or a skip and then drive out. Yeah, exactly, Mason, but I'm just thinking on a bigger scale. Well, the thing is, when people ask me this, I pick the AK-74 over the M16, but I'd definitely pick the M16 over an AK-47, just because it's a much better caliber. 5.56 ballistically is better than 7.62 by 39. Only in short range kind of versus cover does 7.62 by 39 do better. In terms of, you know, like actual ballistics and everything, you'd much rather be shooting 5.56 or 5.45. How does it work with car seat panels? I don't know about car seat panels. I mean, I've got a load of stuff like that in my boot, Chris. But, oh, I see. So it hangs over the back of your driver's seat or whatever. That's quite cool. That might be worth doing, actually, at some point. Yeah, I'd consider it. It's definitely a good idea, yeah. I didn't even know stuff like that existed, but yeah. Yeah, might do. Who's Mariachi then? Oh, is it a Mexican thing? When it grows out a bit more, it might look a bit different, and I'll probably start actually trying to trim it into a certain shape. But yeah, I've got an East German M56. I've got a German that's probably an M40, I'd imagine, Stauhelm, but missing the liner. And as I was saying earlier, I've got these which are Swiss, but, you know, they're Stauhelms. Swiss are sort of German, aren't they? Well, as I was saying earlier, Trap Beats, not a very good one. I can grow stuff on my chin that would look like a little beard like that. So, you know, like, whatever the fuck that would be. Having an actual beard that just goes down from the chin, that'd be it. What rifle on the wall? There's an FN FAL there, the L1A1 SLR, the British version of the FAL, and there's a Lee Enfield there covered in Soviet masks. There is an M1 carbine there, behind the screen, that you can't see. And down there, which you might just see the barrel, there is an RPK and a PPSH. Alright, good luck, Mason. I didn't even know what you're bidding on, but good luck, whatever you're bidding on. No, I'm going to keep it after Movember, Peach. Because this was just kind of a coincidence. I think it's because I was chatting with Bart, because he's always like had a beard and moustache for ages. And I said, might actually try and see if I can grow a moustache again now, because I've not tried for ages. Yes, a troubled man, if you don't know. And once I show you this, I will stop the stream. Because, right, there's the RPK, just to prove that's there. There you go. Yes, heretically deactivated, but that is a PPSH. Did I damage a katana from the video the other day? Yes, I showed that in the video. You can't fix a GP5 smelling rubbery because it's a rubber gas mask. I'm getting sick of this question. But yeah, because of it, whatever deac spec it is, you can't charge it. Trigger works at least, obviously it's not attached to anything inside. Safety, I think, moves a bit. I'm not sure if that actually flicks between settings, but safety moves. But you can mag releases, but not very well because PPSH mags were never good. And then if I push that, there you go. You can open it. You can see all the cosmoline in there. Oh, something funny of cosmoline. Oh, I don't want to strobe that. You might be able to see that there. Cosmoline glows like neon green under UV light. Don't know if you can see that, but literally looks like some sort of alien blood. Oh yeah, cosmoline does have a nice smell. Shame you can't get cosmoline deodorant. They do WD-40 deodorant now, don't they? So yeah, you could pair that with cosmoline. But yeah, there we go. Diac PPSH. It looks cooler with the drum, I think, Stug, and because I can't shoot it, it doesn't matter. But I like the look of the drums more. If I actually had to practically use one, yeah, I would want a few stick magazines. But for cool factors, the drum. PPSH, but I'd rather have the PPS 43 because PPS 43 is really fucking cool because of how cheap and good it was. But yeah, assuming you had a PPSH and a few mags that would fit well and swap between them, I'd rather the PPSH. What's the weight of it? It's a few kilos, I think. Center of balance is actually all right. It tilts slightly forwards at the mag and barrel, but again, where it's the axe, it might be, you know, different weights than it normally would be. But, you know, I think a lot of this stock is just to counteract the weight of the barrel, because if you look at that, that is where most of the weight of the gun comes from, that front bit. Yeah, I know, Ghost, because that's what I said about my mag. This mag does not fit well with this PPSH. But yeah, that's what they were saying on the Forgotten Weapons things, on a few of them, that, you know, what you'd want to do is if you had a PPSH, find a few mags you can actually load and unload easily enough that don't rattle too much, and just stick with them. Because some PPSH mags would just not fit in other PPSHs. Did it work, Richard? I mean, that's more of a question for Peach, but did it work? Or was it the wrong kind of lubricant? Because most gun lubricants are oil-based. You get like water-based sex lube and stuff like that. But... well, yeah, on that gun you do, Peach, because obviously it's the reduced muzzle climb. I think about £200 greater. But luckily that was when DX were a lot cheaper than they were now. A long time ago. Well, you didn't answer the question, Peach, so did you? Right, anyway, I'll be off. Oh, David, you've come on just as I'm literally finishing because I've been on an hour and about 9 minutes now. RPK 74, because you can use it more like an assault rifle than the dinner plate 28. Right. So, see ya, everybody. Bad dragon come lube, right. See you then.